Hello, my friends. I'm Ed Ryan, and I've been doing some work on the postings that were part of the complaint to the Attorney General's office by a national poverty or homeless advocacy group from New York City, and of course from a Los Angeles Community Action Committee. They filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office for investigation. The complaint alleged that the Los Angeles Police Department community policing apparatus in San Fernando Valley, along with about 10,000 citizen vigilantes, had made up the group members of a Facebook vigilante posting site where it was about doing in about messing with the homeless. And I thought that I would do a video going through the postings and talking about them and seeing, analyzing them for not only criminal intent, but for whatever else we can come up with. And, I'm not a real funny guy, so I'll go slowly and see if I can make anybody laugh here. Well, let's get started. Here's one of them right here. And it's pretty blunt to the point, right? Don't forget, we're talking about citizens in the LA community writing to the writing to each other about the whereabouts, tracking of, and planning to get rid of the homeless. This one says, what? Is there anything that we can do to make these vagrants scared of us instead of the other way around? I should point out one thing. Members of this group, this vigilante group, Crime Busters vigilante group, included the LAPD senior lead officers, about 8 of them, from the community policing apparatus up in San Fernando Valley, and also the 2 members of the LAPD brass were part of the club, along with deputy prosecuting city attorney. And we'll get to their names later on. But I think it's kind of disgusting when you have law enforcement apparatus doing illegal stuff with vigilantes to do crimes, acts of harassment and abuse onto the homeless population, no matter where it is. But in LA is what this is about. It happened to me. And one thing that was particularly bothersome to me, and I thought very illegal, was when they came and did their abuse to me in such a way that I would try to defend myself, fight back. And then the police would swoop in and I would be arrested for the acts of self-defense. And I'd be prosecuted and incarcerated. And the police reports all the time stated none of the harassment that, preceded my acts of self-defense. Those were fraudulent, misleading police reports used in the courts to prosecute and incarcerate me. When you use fraudulent, misleading reports, or are part of the team that creates those, you are engaged in felony obstruction of justice. That went on over and over with me. It goes on for other homeless victims. And I now have a complaint before the presiding judge, his name's Barzell, and of Superior Court in Los Angeles, where I put all this forth to him, asking that he investigate this criminal action by the police and by the prosecutors, and that has corrupted the courts of Los Angeles, and that he do something about it. I haven't heard back yet, but we'll see what happens. Probably nothing. So that's next on the posting list. All right. This one right here. It says, it's by Sonny Lewis, and it says, this page went from observant report to cattle prods and firecracking them in some kind of bum war. Now things are getting interesting. LOL, laugh out loud. And the response comes from Alina Melkin Benjamin. These people live in San Fernando Valley, I presume, maybe someplace in LA. Maybe they live on the moon, for all I know. But it came from the postings that were attached to the Attorney General's complaint filed by a homeless advocacy team back in I believe it was August 1st of 2018. This complaint has been sitting on the desk of the Attorney General someplace with no action taken on it. They're trying not to do anything, any investigation at all, just being silent and hoping it goes away. The mayor and the city councils have done the same thing. When they were asked months ago about what they thought of the vigilante group that was uncovered, no comment was issued, no critical statement was made. It's just been allowed to go on, and that's wrong. When you have the leaders of our community, of the LA community, not taking a stance against, criminal actions by vigilantes on to helpless homeless people, many of them mentally ill or addicted, I'm telling you, it's way overboard. And I know you may, not like what's happening, see over the homeless situation in LA, and it is tough. There's 59,000 homeless, but you see, the homeless need to be, properly housed, and money needs to be spent in that direction, and it can be, and it should be, and it will be someday. But for now, they're on the street. And keep in mind the fact that the LAPD routinely has millions of dollars earmarked originally to help build housing for the homeless. It is diverted to the LAPD and used as overtime payment and labeled help for the homeless, policing costs of the homeless, and that's been going on for years. And you have the chief of police and other members of the brass being the highest paid members of the of police forces nationally. So I just want to put that out there. Anyways, so down here, Alina Malcolm Benjamin responds, when some vagrants stab a father holding his 5-year-old daughter in the neck, things just got real. Sorry if you don't feel the same way. Wow, it's like she's talking to me straight up. That's magical. I didn't hear about that one. But, stabbings and other crimes happening every day from other members of the population. And if you're going to say, hey, a homeless guy was involved in a stabbing, so we're going to hate and do hate upon all the homeless and violate their civil rights and, watch them die on the streets, then I think you're wrong. I don't know. What do you feel? Is it open season on homeless because some guy got into a crime where somebody was stabbed? I hope not. So what's the next one? Sonny Lewis responds, and what do you feel is the solution to the issue? Well, Sonny, I would say the solution is spending some money and doing the right thing and housing these poor people. We can afford it. And in fact, it would be good for the economy to get the housing built and get them inside. But some people are just too cheap to do the right thing. They'd rather have millions of dollars in their bank account and 10 houses and whatnot. Well, we can still have all those things. America has great resources. We can afford to do this without taking money out of anybody's pocketbook if the politicians weren't such a hating bunch of greedy bucks, but they are. It sucks. All right. Here's the next one. And it's by a lady, Karen Fountain. And she says, well, first, the top posting is from Mia Rachel. I carry a ViperTech stun gun, and I'm not afraid to use it. Ooh, Mia Rachel. She carries a ViperTech stun gun. She's not afraid to use it on somewhat unsuspecting homeless guy that happens to be sleeping on the sidewalk 2 blocks away from your house, and you just don't like the looks of it. So you can sneak up to him and tase him. Or you're going to give it to your boyfriend and have him do it, Karen. That's probably the safer way to do it, It doesn't matter. The guy's probably old and all decrepit and crippled, and by the time you get done tasing him, he's not going to be chasing anybody. He's just going to be trying to survive, In fact, I got tased once. I was holding a sign trying to, generate some support against the vigilante acts of the police, LAPD doing their acts onto me. And I was out on the highway holding the sign, because I was getting hacked and I couldn't get it on the internet. And when a cop came by and I got down, I submitted, and the cop tased me anyways. And he held the tasing for a while. I mean, you like a robot, man. Anyways, Karen, come on, be careful. Again, that was Mia. This is Carol. I'm nervous. Karen Fountain says, I have the same one, and have shown a photo of it many times on this site. It's only $23 on Amazon, and you really need it. It would get someone off of you. And if you want to deter someone, there is nothing like that big visible spark and that loud crackling to send them walking the other way. Mm. Oh, I mean, these people are serious, you know. They got weapons and they are weaponized, and they're going to use them probably on unsuspecting homeless out there in the San Fernando Valley who are, you know, not to be tolerated. And it's on. The police members of the group who hear these, who see these postings and talk to these people have been criticized for allowing these, you know, the plotting and planning of criminal acts to be done onto homeless as the police look on. Great job, LAPD. You're doing a great job. The LAPD has proven to me during this whole thing, I've been out in LA for about 5 years, to be nothing but a bunch of criminal conspirators in this thing. They have routinely arrested me and composed false and misleading police reports. Those have been the basis of prosecutions against me, basically for like vandalism or assault. When I fight back against these vigilante criminals when they come at me, I'm the one who gets arrested on a police report that has no mention of any harassment done up front, and I do time. That's wrong. That's illegal, and it's cowardly, and I'm calling them out. And I suggest to the people out there in LA that it can be corrected. We can take on the LAPD and reform it, yeah, right? Not under the present condition. Let me tell you a quick story. When I first got to LA, I'm a political activist, and I saw that LA's local political system was not, it was different than both New York and Chicago. 10 years ago, both those big cities like LA did the right thing, and they instituted progressive reform, local democracy at the local level. They amended their charters and they expanded the size of the city council to be in Chicago it's 40, in New York it's 51 people, and they have 51 districts in New York and 40 districts in Chicago. And those big type city councils provide much better representation to the entire city. And what happens is you have increased voter participation, you have better services to the people in all the neighborhoods, and you have you know, even economic development going on. You have a lot of other things. You get better schools that, you know, that happen. You know, the community comes together. Democracy delivers in a lot of different ways. It makes people want to do the right thing and come together, you know. And what happens in LA is they do not allow this reform to even be considered. When I was talking about it in April of 2015, and when I went down to the city hall to get the paperwork to put this thing on the ballot and get started there, I was immediately and that would circle you at night in these convoys of vehicles, all dark tinted windows, all like lookalikes of police undercover cars, and they would circle you. They would put you in a floating box so that as you walked, they would take a left and come back. So there'd be like 20 of them circling you where you went. And if you tried to sit down and hide out from them, people on foot, like dog in, and they would kind of rouse you to get you back on the street. Real dirty stuff. And this would go on and on and on. And it was this constant up close surveillance that tries to terrify and psychologically torture the intended victim. In this case, it wasn't a targeted homeless person like it usually is, even though I was living homeless at the time. What it was coming after a political activist who's trying to institute democratic reform in LA that would make life more difficult, not only for the elected officials who are already in power, but for the LAPD itself. You see, when you have only 15 city councils like LA does, and those 15 city councilors get paid $160,000, and you have one mayor too, well, the LAPD is very, very willing and able to corrupt those 15 to be able to call the shots. They use blackmail, terror, and just good old, folksy interaction as they take a seat at the political table in LA. You see, they do that in LA, but no other major city do they do it. In New York and Chicago, the people themselves, 40 strong or 30 strong, are allowed to convene in parliaments and govern the city themselves in ways that are much better. But in LA, we're not allowed to do that. In fact, when I tried to put that forward, I was immediately stymied by the criminal acts of the LAPD. It was obvious, and it was degrading, and it was dehumanizing. I tried to go to the press and tell them, and they didn't care. And then I started to get arrested as I kept up and tried to put it out there, doing the best I could. And I was arrested and put in jail several times over the past 3 years. 6 months, 4 months here, 2 months here. Really dirty stuff to stop the right of the 1 million voters in LA to have the right to vote, constitutional right to vote on their local government structure. That's what's going on in LA. I want that to change. And I'm considering me, Ed Ryan, for running for mayor in 2020, that's next year, on the platform of amending the charter in LA to institute this type of council reform. My friends, I think we should do it. I think it's the best way to go forward. It's going to make for a better city for the average people. It's going to put the LAPD in line, and it's going to create much more voter participation. What's wrong with that? You now have a city council and a mayor who serve the interests of the landlord class like they are, like they are slaves. This is not right. This is not right. The landlord and the wealthy classes get served up front on a pay-to-play scheme where you got to donate money to these folks in order to get any service out of City Hall. In the meantime, there is not enough adequate housing so that the housing costs are out of control, and the schools and other facilities stink. My friends, that's not right. We, as people, citizens, deserve the right to govern our own city in the best possible way of democratic representation. That's what I'm saying. I say that we amend the charter and reform the systems. I'm going to be going forward on that. This is part of that. This is me trying to get the word out. Maybe do it with show you these posts, do it with a little humor as best as possible. Hopefully, I can make someone laugh out there, and we'll get busy doing the right thing down the road. Next posting. This will go on for a while, so I hope you. This is from Christina Barbato, and it's right here. It's from one of the names of the Facebook Vigilante pages was the Crime Buster Transient Homeless Encampments. That was the name of it. And right here, they got a picture of a homeless guy carrying a big teddy bear. Kind of cute, huh? I wonder where he won it. Probably at some carnival. Maybe, you never know, Maybe he stole it, right? He stole it out of somebody's garage. Maybe he stole it out of the garage of what's her name back here with a taser, and he's about to get tased. You never know. Anyways, they take pictures like this of homeless people who are minding their own business, and they post it. What does that tell you? It tells you this, that they're stalking these folks, and they're getting up close and in their space, and they're trying to bother them and scare them and terrify them by taking their pictures over and over and thinking it's cool. It's not cool. It's terrifying. And it goes on and on and on. Some of these people are so weak and terrified and depressed anyways, they get hopeless and they commit suicide. And let me tell these people, particularly Fern Peskin White, who doesn't have a post yet, but she is one of the leaders of this bunch. Let me tell these people something. That when you harass and torture people so much psychologically, and you induce suicide that way, they commit suicide, guess what? That's manslaughter. You can be prosecuted and should be prosecuted for manslaughter. Not just the person who does the last harassment of you, but the entire scheme of harassment. So if there's 6 of you doing it, including some cops and maybe a crooked lawyer down the courthouse that allows it and a judge, well, you all might be on the hook. I'm for launching an investigation, a deep investigation, seeing how many dead homeless people we have out there and finding out who the people are who harass them and induce their suicide, and that some justice be done, and that those people be prosecuted for manslaughter, or in some cases, murder too. Because if you knowingly, intentionally cause the suicide, well, then it's murder too. I used to be an attorney, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about now is good, strong, clean democracy and good, strong, clean courts, not the corrupt things we have now, stuff that we can use to make sure that people get their, correct justice, not what's going on now. And so anyways, let's go forward. All right? That's all we can do. Here's one from Fern Peskin White. There you go. What does it say? I don't even know yet. It says right now at Starbucks, 11 p.m. And that's only one side. It's full on both sides. Well, she's either talking about meeting somebody for coffee, or she's doing what she does all through these posts. As you see, she rats out and communicates and tracks the whereabouts of the homeless population in her area so that they can be set upon by homeless people, by vigilantes in vehicles and on foot to harass, abuse, and bother. That's what they did to me. They would circle me in cars, like I said. And if you fight back against it, you're going to get arrested. They want to taunt, force an arrest, and then they remove right down to the LA County Jail, and the homeless person's off the street long term. Isn't that a great way to do it, huh? Fern, Fern Peskin White. All right. Starbucks. Let's see what else we got here. Again, Fern Peskin White. She's a busy girl. It says, thank you to the Austin Security Company at Fallbrook Mall. They are always on top of it. A community member messaged to me, thank you, today that Tanya and Mr. J was sleeping on the lawn at Ralph's Fallbrook. I called security. In 5 minutes, they were asking to leave the property. Okay, I think what it says is she ratted out some sleeping homeless there who were trying to catch a few weeks, in a secure setting, Ralph's front lawn. And maybe they're going to get up and go in there and boost some supper when they were done, grab a sandwich or maybe even a beer. I was known to do that. Ralph's, not a bad place to grab your food on the go if you need to. When you're out in the street trying to survive, sometimes you get hungry and you got to do that. And what you don't need is a bunch of stinking vigilantes following around in the store, screaming out the fact that you're trying to boost your lunch or your meal and getting you arrested. That used to happen too. That's harassment in a lot of ways. You might not agree with me about them having the right to eat, but that's the way I feel. We might not agree on anything, but we can try. So yeah. What else we got here? All right. Another one from Fern Peskin White. This is again unrehearsed. So it says, thank you to the awesome security. Oh, that's another one. That's a repeat. Looking foolish here. All right, what else we got here? It says, this is one of my favorites. It's another Fern Peskin White's. Here, let's check out this one. This is a serious one. It says, that isn't the hospital. It's the medical building. Across the street, I was at the hospital most of the day with my mother and didn't see any. However, when I left this evening, there were two with backpacks up to no good in the dark parking lot heading towards Sherman Way. Then she says, they were at ER, the emergency room. Trust me, I watched them. Fern, you're a dirty, dirty, dirty person to be tracking people at the hospital. And then she goes on later on to go in, as you see from the other postings, to go in and talk to the security there at the hospital to make sure that these homeless folks don't get admitted to the hospital if they go in and ask to be admitted. Citizens doing what it takes to block health care to the homeless. Great job. And Fern Peskin White, she originally started one of these groups as she worked as a volunteer assistant at the Topanga Community Police Department. So she's right in the mix with this whole thing because 7 senior lead officers from the LAPD Community Policing Division were caught to be members of this vigilante group. And Fern Peskin White, she's doing her best to make sure that the homeless people are stopped and prevented from going into an emergency room to get the care they might need, to stay alive. Real good. These are just pictures. These are pictures of the homeless people, I guess, near the hospital. And again, Fern and her friends, very good at getting into the face of these people and snapping their pictures and posting them. And that goes on. There's 10,000 members to this group. Imagine how many people are taking their pictures. At one point in my life, I had people doing that to me, coming up to me, taking pictures all the time, all the freaking time like that. Harassment of that nature. I didn't know what was going on. It happened to me, where was I? I was on a subway and what's going on. And so I took the camera out of somebody's hand. I said, stop hacking me. And I put it back. I thought I was getting hacked. At that point, I was arrested for robbery. I spent 6 months in jail, pre-trial. Yeah, pre-trial. They didn't go forward with the charges of robbery. Eventually, I had to plead to something to get out of there, but 6 months in jail for that. They caused it by stalking me and harassing me. And I'm telling you, ever since then, and a couple other cases, I am completely dedicated to outing these people and to making sure that someday in LA we have the government structure necessary to clean up the corruption that they've done. Because right now the LAPD is doing their best to keep this show going on, and it stinks. Thank you. All right, and here we go. I think it's another Fern Peskin one. And it says, started on Sherman Way. And it took the bus, and here they are, sitting, hanging out at West Hills Hospital entrance of the ER. Who knows where they'll end up? They stopped random doctors walking through the parking lot and asked if they wrote for RX inhalers. Gee, Fern, you're following them around on buses. You're trailing them on buses. You're stalking these people. That's illegal. That's a felony in California. And then you know enough about it to know what they're asking the doctors. So you're following up by talking to the doctors. You're now harassing these people. You are doing criminal felony stalking. You're working for the police. You're a vigilante doing the wrong thing. And you're posting it on Facebook so that these people get further harassed. And now that your secret's out of the bag, people like me are putting you on the internet, and you're probably upset. You know what I have to say to you? Tough luck. You're a hater. You're doing the wrong thing, and your crew's doing the wrong thing. And it's time to change, you know? Because I'm not backing down, Fern. And you can take my picture and post it any place you want. I'm Eddie Ryan. I think it's terrible. All right, what do we have here? Geez, Fern again. She's a busy girl. Busy. Says Fern Peskin with Ari Fishback, and Marilyn Clark, now in West Hills. It says, started out in that's the same one. I did it again. My bad. Because I have doubles to everyone, huh? Don't worry, folks. I'll get it down. All right, here's a good one. Look at this picture. Oh, man. They got right into this guy's face. This guy right here, okay? On the complaint, there's a video, a 3-minute video of this fellow right here. What the video is about, and you should watch it if you can get your hands on the complaint. If I come across it during this video, I'll try to show you the link. They go up to the guy at night as he's trying to bed down on the sidewalk, and they stick the video camera in his face. And the guy behind the camera starts taunting him, calling him out. He says to him, the guy, my friend here, is so nervous. He's trying to light a cigarette, and he drops a piece of paper on the ground. And the vigilante behind the camera says, hey, pick up that paper. Pick it up. And he tells the guy that way. And the poor guy's like, no, I'm not picking it up. The guy goes, pick it up or you're going to have a problem. And this guy says, no, I'm not gonna. I'm going to turn off the camera and give you a problem. And the guy ends up turning off the camera, and that's the end of it. Oh, boy. I saw that, and I felt exactly what this man felt off. Because that shit used to happen to me, and I didn't like it. I didn't like being out there, sleeping on the street, trying to get by, and having some idiot vigilante come up to me and start harassing me, thinking I wasn't tough enough. This guy had a problem fighting back. I don't think he did. I had no problem. I looked around my environment for the best possible weapon, got busy, and made myself safe. Many times I didn't get arrested, but I got arrested a couple of times. My bad. Anyways. What do we have here? This is by Gary Fisher, and it's of a homeless guy. And what it tells us is that Gary's into stalking too, walking around San Fernando Valley and taking the pictures, coming up, terrifying these people with who are these people coming in my space? That's what you're doing, Gary. Posting your pictures of homeless people. It's not just you posting a picture; it's you stalking, doing criminal felony harassment. Nice life, buddy. What a loser. All right. This is another one. It's kind of dark. I can't really see it. It says, Irwin it's done by Milana Legeza, Legeza. I want to make sure everybody gets the credit. It says, Irwin is back, but this time he's on Calvert. Again, they're tracking. They're putting his location. And know who tells them to do this? The senior lead officers, the community police officers who are members of the group. Yeah. They're the ones who direct these citizen vigilantes what to do. He wants to. They're told to track them, harass them, and if they cause any problems with that, call us and we'll arrest them. You know. So great job, LAPD community police. Get a crew of vigilante citizens and tell them what to do. Tell them how to break the law and go forward. And know what Chief Moore does when he finds out about all this? Nothing. Nothing. He allows it to go on. He's probably the one who made it go on. There's two members of the brass, LAPD brass, who are part of this group. One of them is Assistant Deputy Chief Chris Pitcher. He's some guy that grew up in the Valley and now has he's now the lead officer, the head of a detective. He lost his job as being the head of community policing for the Valley because he's a vigilante punk making vigilante punks. Yeah, he might be the assistant chief of police, but I'm not afraid to call him out because I don't like people who put on a cop suit and break the law like that. I think it stinks. I don't like it. I think it's intimidating and it's wrong. And I'm Ed Ryan calling out Chris Pitcher. Come on and arrest me. What else we got here? All right. I think we saw this one once. And we get. Okay, well, let's stay busy. This is a picture of that. Getting you to look at it, huh? And it says members, and this is the homeless encampment group. Oh, this is by John Sherman. This picture is by John Sherman. You know who John Sherman is? Yeah. He's a deputy assistant chief of the LAPD. Retired. He just retired. He's brass. Yeah. A member of a vigilante secret Facebook group that got, caught with these postings are screenshots. And they were captured by homeless advocates who became part of the group to do some undercover work and get the goods, and they got the goods. Anyways, this is John Sherman, the retired assistant chief of the LAPD. Yeah, I don't like the fact that the LAPD brass is involved in a vigilante scam the size of, Toledo. I think that stinks. I don't think it's right. I don't like the fact that our courts are all corrupted because of them going in and concocting false police reports and using those to prosecute and incarcerate. I think that stinks because it happened to me and it's happening to others. Yeah. I have legal trainings, and I don't like people who corrupt the courts. I think it's very bad, and I want it to stop. The Los Angeles City Attorney's Office is hip deep in this thing, and they had assistant deputy city attorney, who is her name? Karen Phillips, a long time. She's the neighborhood prosecutor for the Topanga Police Station, and Karen is, I believe, in hot water for prosecuting people and being part of this underground vigilante secret group. And I'm in the midst of reporting her to the California Board of Bar Overseers, who will discipline attorneys if they're seen to do ethical acts. And is it unethical to help concoct fake police reports that don't include any reporting of the harassment going on? Of the people who are charged with crimes? Is that illegal? Yeah, it's unethical and illegal, and Karen needs to be called out on that because it's not right. And if there's any judges that are handling Karen's work and believing what she says, I say to them, come on, do the right thing. Let's see what else we got here. Here's a nice post. This is by a senior lead officer. His name is Brent Rye, and this is what he writes. Let's see what he says. If you are not yet aware, there are two groups out there of our community named Crime Stoppers, and it began in this group close collaborators with the local scene lead officers and worked with us to develop rules and practices that would be employed before launching. As with most of us, we don't all get along. This goes on to talk about the formation of the two secret crime buster groups and how the citizen vigilantes should be, using it with the police. Basically, I don't want to bore you with that, so I'm going to move forward. Keep it busy here, right? Okay, here's another one by our friend. Yeah, I think it's Fern Peskin White and a lady called Deborah Vavera. It says, It says, yeah, exactly right. We've all been lucky to have them. They're talking about the police as our administrators since the day I created the group. Now, I think what's going on here, I think the group just got busted, and these are postings where they are kind of mulling over the fact that they're in a little hot water and kind of saying their goodbyes to each other, because there's some postings like that. But let's go forward. All right, I'm gonna keep that one down for reasons that. All right. This one's from Shelly Mingle Swartz and a reply by Kathleen Sacco, Sacco. It says, if he is yelling and screaming at the kids walking by, then they need to call the police. Threatening kids so that they have to walk into the street to avoid being threatened, harassed, or possibly hurt by an unstable transient is just unacceptable. She might be right. She might have a point. Maybe the guy needs a little trip to the spa to rest up. I'm not sure. Then again, maybe he's not doing anything wrong, and she's just a lying vigilante trying to get the cops involved so that this man gets picked up and messed with when he doesn't deserve to be. That might be probably the case going on, because these people are known liars. Oh yeah, and then this guy writes in at the bottom saying, "Lynch him." Look at that, lynch him. And who's that? That's Brian Wilson. Brian, you dirty, dirty vigilante. Huh. Yes, you want the guy lynched? What do you think? We should string him out on the light poles like it did in in Italy, or how about like what they did to blacks back in the day, Brian, where they used to lynch them down south? Is that what you want to do? Huh? And I say to any people of color who might be watching this video and I'm thinking about this thing, watch out for these people. That's what they do. That's how they think. Lynch them. Come on. I don't like that. I don't like that, especially with police involved and neighborhood prosecutors. It's really dirty stuff. All right. Shelley Migdal Schwartz, and this picture right here. There you go. And it says, this transient has been on Wintega, it's a street, I guess, under the 101 freeway for 2 weeks on the northeast edge of the tunnel. He hides under the tarp and yells and screams when you are near his crap. Yeah, I won't blame him. You're trying to steal and bother and harass him. I'd yell and scream too. He has a right to do that. Stay away from him and don't bother him. He might not do that to you, Shelley. The half kids have walked past him every day. Okay. Yesterday, they had to walk in the street to get on the bus in order to avoid him. Yeah, that's a problem. If he's really mentally, to the drain to the point where he's doing that. But it looks more to me like these people are totally all over this person, and they're causing him to react in the way that he's reacting. And again, that happened to me a lot, and it's not right. So we're gonna go forward here. There's a whole stack of these. I'm gonna kind of keep it short. I think that I have company at the door, so. But I want to get to some of the better ones before I hang up. This one is by Elena Malkin Benjamin. Yeah, it sounds like a real princess. She says, no fear is the word I want to use. I want them to fear us. I want them to be deathly afraid to come near us. I want them to stay far, far away from us. I want the thought of them attacking us to be the first thing from their mind. Fear. That's what I want. Wow. She sounds like, a sick person. Her name, Elena Benjamin. Well, maybe she's not sick. Maybe she's just scared. She's had enough. The homeless thing in LA is, it's a big problem. It's tough, But is it to the point where we're going to start setting people up for crimes? Where we're going to start corrupting our courts? Where we're going to bar people from the hospital like Fern White wants to do? I mean, are we there yet? I don't think so. All right, this is one of the lead officers. It was his birthday, so he gets wished a happy birthday by his fan club of vigilantes. And what they do is they take pictures of some of the homeless women around the area, and they put them on. They post them. Yeah, real funny, huh? Those poor folks. They're out there trying to survive. Not looking their best. And they are. Look at that. There's the actual birthday card. And the cop doesn't look like a bad guy. I have a son who's a cop, young guy like that. And, he wouldn't do stuff like this, though. He wouldn't, I hope he wouldn't. He's, with these folks, happy birthday, officer. Thanks. Love your 3 favorite girls. And then there's pictures of these 3 homeless girls, you know, beraggled and whatnot. And it's what that posting's all about. All right, here we go. Here's a little bit more of a detailed posting. And it's from Melanie Rose. She says, I don't believe you have the legal right to touch his property. She might be, sorry, I used her name. She might be one of the ones in my zone. All right. And this is from Gary Fisher. He's a big tough guy. He's writing to Melanie. He says, I welcome the LAPD to prosecute me. So he's going to go touch the property, and he welcomes the LAPD to prosecute him, knowing that he's never going to get prosecuted. Because they don't go after the vigilantes because they're part of the vigilante club. Rob Kafka. I have dogs, and they'll piss on it, and then it will be my responsibility to clean up after my dog. Okay, so he's scheming right now. His plan is to send in his dogs, and they use dogs all the time. Send in his dogs, have the dog piss on some stuff, and then he's got to clean up the stuff and basically steal some guy's belongings, throw them in a dumpster, so when the guy comes back looking for his stuff so he can sleep warm that night, it's gone. Pissed on by the dog and thrown away by these vigilante tough guys. Great job. Oh, and then Rob Kaplan says, why are you here if you're defending him, Melanie? The girl at the top who spoke up in defense saying don't touch your property, you don't have the right to. Well, now she's getting made, pointed out and called out by the other vigilantes. See, you're not supposed to do that. If you're part of the vigilante crowd, you're supposed to be really evil, stay in that mode, and don't break from it. And then here's one from Gary Fisher's the listing, and it says, my husband will help PM. Me and he will meet you anytime. We also have a friend who is 6'7", willing to help. Great. Conspiring right there to do crimes onto the homeless from the vigilante, the vigilante Facebook that has police and city attorneys from LA as members. And now there's a complaint out against his activity. It's been there for 18 months up in the Attorney General's office, and he's refusing to do anything about this, because he's staying quiet. Why? Because he's good friend. He used to be a Congress guy downtown in LA, and he's good friends with the LAPD and with the mayor, and everybody's staying silent. This vigilante stuff has been called out. They want it just to go away. But here we see it perfectly, the conspiring and planning to do criminal activity. My husband will help me, and me and he will meet you anytime. And we also have friends who's 6'7". And come on, that's what goes on in this thing, I mean, just showing you how it works if you're interested in watching. Okay. This is just one would picture that homeless guy. All right. This is further postings from the guys that one I just got done with, okay? It's on the Rob Kafka. Hey, Gary Fisher, let's group up and go throw his shit in a dumpster, several dumpsters, so he has to travel far and wide to recover his assets. Great, more conspiring. And then Gary Fisher says, I've been asking people for help. He says, I get crickets. I don't know what that means. Oh, crickets? I'm not sure what that means. Now that's funny. I'm all in. And that was said by Danny Anderson. They're probably using fake names, right? Rob Kafka. I'm on Calvert, telling his location so they can plan up and get there quickly. And then Melanie Rhodes. Again, she's I hate to say her name again, and she's chiming in saying, "Don't do it." She's a Law and Order girl. Now, here we go again. Let's keep reading them and try to analyze what they mean. That's what this is all about. Anyways, Eileen Blasey, she says, people are going to be even more confused. And then she says, he is the best for sure, but it's going to create doubt in the general public minds that now, if the homeless are target, his statement proves us wrong. Fern Peskin White. Not going to stop me from yelling at gypsies and others. And Eileen Blase says, these people are lemmings and they have a direction made for them. I don't know. All right. And this is from Stacy Goldfarb, and she says, I have to make a project out of watching this car to stop it once it moves. Arrange Hope Sanitation and plan on spending the next 8 to 10 hours of my shift dealing with this mess. So when someone tells us we should just impound it, unfortunately, it's not that easy. Motorhomes, since it takes a couple of days to a week to arrange for a heavy duty tow to take it. So she's on a shift and she's out there hassling the homeless. It sounds to me like community stalking. And she's a member of it, and that's an illegal activity, and they used to do it to me all the time. She's on a shift and she's hanging out, watching the progress of the homeless stuff because they're trying to make sure, they're trying to call in the city department to have the stuff all trashed and tossed away. And that's what they do. This is another one, and it says, available to respond now. The officers are responsible for it. Officers will load as much as possible into the car and have, we'll have to itemize and book the rest of it. This process could take 3 to 4 hours. In the meantime, the suspect is arrested and booked, and if we're lucky, he or she won't be out before we finish the reports. This is the police talking, telling the vigilante citizens exactly what they're going to do. You know, big team action. I have to make a project out of watching this car. Okay, maybe it was a cop saying that. Yeah, and once it moves, arrange the Hope Sanitation and plan on spending the next 8 to 10 hours of my shift dealing with it. So it's a cop saying that, but he's posting on the Facebook that has about 10,000 members, and the cops supplying tracking information and supporting citizen vigilantes has been a big problem of what's going on, and hopefully, you know, we can help stop these things. We'll just keep reading them, see what it says. And this is, it says Fern's post. Fern White's posting it. I think it's still a cop. And it says, property on and in the car. LAPD contracted tow yards will not tow this car with stuff on top. So now what do? We have to make an appointment with the Hope Sanitation. They're the part of the DPW that disposes of this stuff to respond and sift through the items and figure out what's hazardous and what's considered personal property. Sanitation will bag 2 30-gallon bags of personal property and allow the persons to keep bikes or bikes. These items are then stored and sent with the arresting officer to be booked as excess property. If sanitation isn't available to respond, okay, that's about it. And it's part of the the nuts and bolts of what it's about to legally take somebody's property when they're on the street. The next one says, and it's by this guy Sean Dinse. He's one of the leaders of this group, and he's the senior lead community police officer up there at Topanga Police Station. I conducted a workup of the vehicle, and it does have expired registration. He's great at catching little things like this. For over 6 months, we can impound it and see if we see it moving on the city streets, but it's not easy. Any patrol officer that stops this vehicle will first have to deal with the driver possibly having a warrant for possession of methamphetamines and 2 additional occupants with no doubt having misdemeanor warrants for drugs. Once we take the occupants out of the picture, now we have to address the personal property of the car. So what he's trying to explain, as far as I get it, is they want to set this guy up and make sure he loses his motorhome. In other words, they're going to arrest him, bust him, pull him out of the car. And once he's out of the picture, the unattended motorhome can be trashed and taken away with or pounded. And he loses his motorhome. Bang, no place to live at all. He's totally on the streets. And that's what the senior lead officers are doing. They're conspiring with other vigilantes to try to do things like that, I mean, you might believe that it's a good way of dealing with the homeless problem in LA. I happen to believe that there's a better way, that the funds are allocated and spent to build the necessary housing and can be done. And unfortunately, right now, money that's earmarked for the homeless is often diverted by the LAPD into an overtime fund where the police are paid overtime, and they label it overtime cost for policing the homeless. That way, funds earmarked for the homeless that come from the federal government can be grabbed by the LAPD and used to enrich them, and the homeless get no housing built, and they're still on the street, thus allowing the LAPD to even stay more busy doing things like this up in the valley, as they, take motorhomes and whatnot away from people. It's kind of a real, dizzy loop, And you know what the funny thing is that these cops, most of them, the LAPD, they don't even live in LA. They live in Simi Valley, most of them, and so they don't mind doing what it takes to trash out LA and having a bunch of vigilantes running around, or having a bunch of homeless not getting the stuff they need because they're diverting the funds in the way they're doing it. They don't care. They're going back to Simi Valley to live. It's all a big scam to them. This is Peter Buchart, and out of Crime Busters West Hill, Woodland Hills. It says, so it pisses me off to see this trash all over with no street services anymore. It's the last thing needed. And then there's a notice on Mr. Perlman's license plate or something like that. This one right here, a little bit more basic and to the point. It says it's from Fern Peskin White. No, it's called Fern Peskin White Crime Busters Transient Homeless Encampment. I get it now. Her name is the name that's on the Facebook account. All right. It says, say hello to Mark. Won't you be my neighbor? And then it says, it gives his location. Shoup and Ventura, 3/10/18 in the date, 24 hours after a cleanup. So there he is. Location, he's being tracked by the vigilante group. It's being posted. That means the 10,000 people out there who get this message, many of them probably will drive by and harass and abuse this fellow, meaning what? That he's in for a lot of terror in the upcoming, time. That's a great thing, huh? Here we go. This is Fern herself, Fern Peskin White. This is about, I just left Amigos at McDonald's, and there's a guy bumming money on the sign. And she says, then get a job. Amigo is his name. They give him nicknames. Then get a job at McJob. And exactly my thoughts, says it. Victoria Wall Griffin. And she wants the homeless guy to get a job. And then here is Fern says, oh, they won't work. The system, many of them have EBT cards, food stamp, vouchers. Trust me, they eat. I see them everywhere buying food. So now it's a problem for her. She sees it as a problem that they buy food, the homeless buy food. Well, what does she want? She wants them not to have food? I mean, how far does it go? It just goes to show how illogical, mean, stupid these people are. I could go on, and I might come back and go on and on. But for now, I've made my point. I want the people to know that this is a serious thing going on in LA, and it's being very much protected by the LAPD. That over the past few years, as I've tried to out this thing, I've been totally hacked, and violence has been done to me. In fact, I've been even formally tortured 3 times. Once at the Kaiser Permanente over on Venice Boulevard, right before you get to the Culver City, where they took me into a room. They strapped me down naked, and they took needles. These were vigilantes. I don't know if they were, I think there were two. There was 2 male nurses and a female nurse. She had a mask on, and she took the needle and she poked in my leg and swished it around, saying to me, you have a big mouth. And the 2 guys we're kind of just watching the whole thing, and all thuggy. I then passed out from the pain that was going on because it went on for quite a while. And I woke up 20 hours later in a place called Canyon Ridge in Chino, and that is a legitimate story of torture. It went on, and it really, really, really changed me. There's 3 other events, and I can go into those now. But I have to move on to other things. I'll be back doing other videos. I hope that you'll take it. I'm just going to do this last posting right here, just to make one special point. Okay, and this is by the community police officer, and it says Kevin Perlman. He's one of the homeless guys. Okay, he has a court date on September 9th, 2017 for an issue. The neighborhood prosecutor will ask that Kevin Perlman stop littering his business cards as a condition of his probation. If he violates these conditions of his probation, I will arrest him and ask that he be sent to the mental health court in Department 95. When we brought him to court last time, he stopped littering his cards. Once his probation was over, he started all over again. I'm hopeful this court case will mitigate the issues until he gets some treatment, blah, blah, blah. This posting tells me a lot that's going wrong. You have a cop who's working with vigilantes out of the Topanga police station, and he's instructing the attorney from the LA city attorney's office, the deputy prosecutor, probably Karen Phillips, how to handle the case and what to do. And they're going to Department 95, which is the mental health court. It's the most corrupt court in the system, and it does exactly what the LAPD says, so that if you are held pre-trial and they stick you in that court, you are not going anywhere. You're doing dead time. My point is this, is that this is clear evidence that the legal system is corrupt, both the courts and the prosecuting wing. When you have prosecutors that are members of vigilante, secret vigilante groups, and you have cops bringing them to certain, the victims, the homeless victims that are harassed and whatnot, and then when they lash out, they're arrested. When you have them brought to a certain court called Department 95, a mental health court, where they languish doing dead time, you have a problem. You have a corrupt system, and it needs to stop. It needs to get better. And I'm all about that and try to do that. For now, I'm going to sign out. And my name is Ed Ryan. And I hope you pay attention to this issue. Thank you. Bye.